Welcome back everyone to this tutorial about SQL functions. We start first with SQL aggregation functions. So what is an aggregation function? An aggregation function is a function that finds one value based on several rows or records. For example, you find the average price of several products. So, in this case, you are finding the average of several values per product. Or, for example, in our case here, we can find the total number of employees per department. So, as you see, we are aggregating several values per a column or per certain columns. So let's have a look at this example to understand what I say. We start first with count function. Count function is used to find the total number of rows or records. So this is the syntax here. Select, count, and between parentheses star, that means all rows from project. And in this case, we need to find the count of all rows in this table. So we are not specifying per a certain column. We just need to find the total number. So far we are finding an aggregation function which is count to find the total number of rows. And we have here another aggregation function which is sum. And sum find, and from its name, it is sum. It's keep adding each value to each other until find the total or the sum of these values. For example, we type here select sum budget as, and we are giving here an alias to the results. So the alias name is total budget of projects from projects. And when we execute any of these statements, we get only one value, which is an aggregation value, either count, sum, or average. And here we have an average function, and the same thing. Select average budget as, alias name average project budget from project. So we'll get one value which is the average of all projects in this table. And here we have these two functions, and here we have these two aggregation functions, maximum and minimum. And you understand, and it's clear from their names, max to find the highest value and min to find the lowest value. So when we run these two statements, in the first one we will get the highest budget in the project table, and from the second one we find the minimum or the lowest budget in all the projects. So far we used or apply these aggregation functions or on all values. We didn't specify a column to get per column, as I explained in the beginning of this tutorial. So we are going to see that in the next tutorial when we find an aggregation function per a specific column. But first, here in this tutorial, let's go and run these statements in MySQL and Microsoft SQL Server. So here in MySQL, we just need to type use. So first in a new SQL query, first we need to connect to our database, which is DSG. And after that, we start finding these aggregation functions. First, select count from projects to find the count of all rows in this table. So select these two lines and execute. And there we go. We got 9. That means we have 9 projects in our list in this table. And let's now find the budget And let's after that find the sum budget let's find the sum budget of all projects. And after that we find average of all average budget for all projects. After that maximum budget. After that minimum budget. And as you see here, we replaced brackets by quotation because this is the syntax in MySQL. We need to use quotation instead of brackets. Let's now select all these 4 lines and execute. So let's select the sum. So first let's select sum budget and execute. And this is the sum budget. Let's now select average. So let's now find the average budget. Select, and this is the average budget of projects. Let's now find the project with the maximum budget. Select this line and execute. And this is the value of the highest budget among all the projects. And finally, let's find the minimum budget of projects. And this is the minimum budget. So we found here several aggregation functions for all values. Let's do the same thing in Microsoft SQL Server. Let's do the same thing. So let's do the same thing in Microsoft SQL Server. So in a new query, we already typed the SQL code to find these aggregation functions, and let's now execute. And as you see here, we found all these aggregation functions, starting with the count, after that total or sum, after that average, after that average, after that, oops, here we just forgot to make this maximum, so maximum. We forgot to make this the highest, so we type here highest. So let's run all this code, and as we see here, we have here the count of all projects, the count of all projects, which means we have 9 projects. This is the total budget of projects. This is the average, after that maximum, and after that minimum. So that's how we can find how to find aggregation functions for all the records. However, again, after I said in the beginning, we need to find an aggregation function per a certain column in the table, and that's by using what we call group by. So let's see that in the next tutorial.